My name is George Reisch. I'm a fifth-generation brewmaster, retired brewmaster, and I'm the current president of Reisch Charities Incorporated.
And I'm Vince Salvo, currently one of the board members of Reisch Charities.
I grew up here in Springfield, Illinois. Our home was located on the brewery property on Rutledge Street. So when I was a little boy, I was in the brewery almost every day with my father. When I'm dreaming at night, no matter what the theme of the dream is, it always seems to take place near the brewery or by our house. Even though those buildings are gone, the whole neighborhood's changed, I can't see it in any other way. My dad came in as the fourth generation, tried to keep it going. When we left, he never wanted to talk about it. He never wanted to look back. But it was terribly difficult for him. It was before people realized how important things were, including Route 66. When they built those freeways, this is great. We could drive to Chicago in this amount of time or whatever. And they forgot the stops they made along the way. The real damage wasn't felt until people realized what they had let just go away. But the brewery was going to fail anyway. And he made the right decision for his family.
So the Reisch Brew Crew is a group of individuals that collect Reisch Breweriana. Well, what is Breweriana? It can be a can, it could be a bottle, it could be a glass, it could be a sign, anything that has a brewer's name on it. So for years, there were a number of guys, there were about 10 of us. We always talked about, boy, I wonder what Reisch beer tasted like, because the brewery closed in 1966, and most of us at the time were like 7 or 8 years old. So a couple of us guys were serious about it, and we started to put the wheels in motion to figure out what we needed to do to bring Reisch beer back. So the first thing was to figure out, we wanted the original recipe. We wanted a Reisch member to brew the beer. It took us a good year to get George on board. He had just retired from Anheuser-Busch, and quite honestly, he wasn't looking to get back into the beer business again. So our last proposal says, well, we'll bring Reisch beer back and we'll donate all our proceeds, our profits, to charity. And George basically kind of stopped him in his tracks, and he said, that's the only proposal that I've heard in the last few years that I can agree to.
My dad's 100th birthday party, we tapped the first keg in 53 years, gave him the first glass. He put it to his lips, and it was very emotional because it tasted exactly right. And his hand was kind of shaking. A lot of people said, well, he's 100 years old. I said, no, it was shaking. And when he brought it up, and it was like you could just see like a little tear started coming out of his eyes. They said, I'm worried about Dad. I said, oh, you're worried about Dad. What's the worst thing that can happen? He could die today on his 100th birthday drinking the first Reisch beer in 53 years? Is that such a bad thing? Beer is good for the soul. My real prayer is that Americans will just start talking to each other again over a beer. We fought over a beer. We discussed things over a beer. We hugged each other afterwards. And then we've lost that. So let's bring Route 66 back. Hopefully the Reisch beer can be part of that. People will stop on their way from Chicago out to Santa Monica and have a nice cold Reisch beer here in Springfield, Illinois, or St. Louis or whatever. And let's get the world back to where it was before, where people cared about each other.